you doing?
I think I'm doing pretty good. Looking forward to this race season. It got a good turnout, like 26 drivers.
Yeah, pretty good. The problem for me is my stomach ain't doing
So you starting in the back or sitting this
it.
one out?
I think I'm gonna fall behind. I don't know if I'll finish.
Well, we're all rooting for you.
Thank you.
evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lucky Dog Sim Racing Gen 6 Series here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I am your host, William McKellar. Here we go. 100 laps here at Las Vegas. Should be a good one, these guys. I mean, very similar track to, Kansas. I would say probably more similar to Chicagoland in the fact that it's also a very bumpy track. But this place, very little off throttle time, just like Kansas and Chicagoland in these cars. So I think we're going to have a good race this evening. A lot of competitive driving. This one may come down to a strategy call, much like the truck race did on Thursday night. I do believe that race was won by Mr. John Held on a pit strategy call, and it was a fantastic call on his part. So before we get too deep into everything else, we're going to go through our starting lineup. So starting in first, we have the number 777 here of Mr. Michael Pegg, and to his outside in second, we have the 23 of Mr. Ray Zerkut. Starting in third, we have the 56 of David Barry, and beside him in fourth, we have the 57 of Jeff Gilmore. Starting fifth, we have the 429 of Paul Witt, and in sixth, we have the 024 of Everett Lane. Starting in seventh, we have the number 9 of John Held, and to his outside, we have the number 24 of Jason Adams. Starting in ninth, we've got the 89 of Randolph Richard, and in 10th, we have the 25 of Mr. Mark Berry. Starting in 11th, we have the 4 of Larry Eddy. In 12th, the 19 of Ben Gear. 13th, the 111 of John Henderson. In 14th, we have the 43 of Sandy Curtis. In 15th, we have Mr. BK Pierce. In 16th, we have the 147 of Michael Day. Starting in 17th, we have the 50. As soon as I find it. There we go. The 50 of Todd Willis. And 18th, we have the 21 of Terry Duguay. Starting in 19th, we have the 33 of Gary Ragland. In 20th, we have the 44 of Jacob Edson. 21st, the 71 of Dirty Don. And 22nd, we have the 59 of Ralph Blair. 23rd, we have the 129 of Kim Kraus. 24th, the 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr. 25th, the 91 of Joel Guy. And in 26th, the 58 of Chris Ho. Going back to our leader here, though, this pace car dips off onto pit road. Michael Pegg leading him here to the start-finish line. Green flag is out here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 100 laps, 26 drivers to determine it all as they go down. Michael Pegg got a pretty good start there, not quite clear the 23, but the way this track is, he has him cleared, has the 23 of Mr. Ray Zerkut cleared before they make the exit turn 2. He brings the 56 with him as they head down the Nellis backstretch, heading off into turn 3. Something these guys are going to have to be very careful of. We saw it in the truck race on Thursday. New tires, very tight, very loose down there on that bottom lane. So we had our first caution on Thursday on lap 2, just hard racing there up towards the front. Tonight, everyone keeping it pretty good. We got 2 wide from, I want to say, about 8th on back. We go ahead and take a second here and look at the number 9 of John Held. I believe he's the first driver who's really having to deal with that 2 wide. Number 25 of Mark Berry to his outside. So these guys racing very hard back here in the pack. We know these cars are very aerosensitive. Whatever positions you can make up early, you have got to make them as quickly as possible. You don't want to be stuck out behind someone for too long. Michael Pegg taking the advantage to be able to try and build some sort of distance between himself and the pack. Now 56, though, all over his rear bumper. 56 doing a really good job of getting down right there along the white line, pretty much painting it all the way around the track. And we'll see how that comes into effect in a longer run. I mean, the very bottom, that is the fastest way around this track, but Las Vegas Motor Speedway, very bumpy in that bottom lane. It's very bumpy in the top lane, and it's kind of sort of smooth in the middle. And so the more as these cars bounce around as they go around the track, the worse that tire wear is going to get over time. I mean, in the trucks, you can get that line and some clean air, you can be flat-footed pretty much the whole way around that track. Very little off-throttle time if you're trying to save tires. Here in these Gen 6 cars, though, it's a lot more involved trying to save that, especially that right front speed you're carrying. This 429 of Paul Witt has got to the inside of David Berry. They sail off here into turn 3. That bottom lane, we already mentioned, is the fast way around this track, but the guy in the middle can maintain his momentum decently well. It really kills any kind of forward progress 429 has. We have a little bit of a pucker factor moment there. 56 blinked out, recognized that one, head backed off, let the 429 go. I mean, these guys are racing up here in the front. They don't want to be running around trying to figure out where each other are, so that's pretty heads up driving. Oh! 429 of Paul Witt. Oh, he just get run over there, tagged the back end of the 777. Oh, absolutely destroyed. Be easier to tell you who's not in this caution, as it looks like the 429 up on his lid. Looked like a misjudgment from one of those two going into turn 3. Let's go back and take a look at this. So we're going to take a little bit closer look from TV1 as they get down here into the corner. And it looks like, you know, people behind them just having issues getting checked up. So Paul Witt slides all the way down the track on his lid. Looks like some broken suspension. He'll have some issues getting that thing spun back around. But if we go back and we take a look at this, Michael Pegg starts his corner entry just that little bit early. Paul Witt hasn't started coming down the track yet, and it's looked like they almost have it saved until the rest of the field just kind of piles in. Not really expecting those guys to be going like 40 miles an hour slower, which is what they were. So we're going to go ahead and watch this from our friend the Chopper Cam, just get a little better look. So Paul Witt, we're going to back up a little bit further. So he clears the 56. 56 lets him go by going through turns 1 and 2 here. Paul's got a fairly decent run, but he keeps it like a half a lane down. He could have tucked in behind that 777. But you see Michael Pegg, I mean, he hits his turn in mark, and Paul Witt has not started to arc the corner yet. So it looked like the 429 maybe trying to arc the 777 out, trying to force Michael Pegg to run a higher line than maybe he really wanted to run. Unfortunately, that took both of them out. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to go back one more time. We're going to go back a little bit further. We're going to ride along with someone who is a little late to the party. Let's see if I have the right time here. I think it's about here. So here in the cockpit view, you can see it's developing. And we're getting out of the throttle, just tagged from behind. Tagged again. Just, I would say some drivers like not paying too much attention back there, because this wreck is unfolding. They all can see it. They're really getting out of the problem here. So right there, .129 and Kim Kraus gets through relatively clean. The heads up driving from the 129 there. Like I said, it'd be easier to tell you who was not in this caution. If we go ahead and we take a look and see it, who's out, who's still in. So a bunch of folks came down pit road. Some folks didn't. The 111 of John Henderson is your leader. 21 of Terry Duguay in second. The 58 of Chris Hogue. Your top three there, they did not come down pit road. But the 56 of David Berry in fourth, and the 19 of Ben Gear in fifth. These guys did. Now we've got some folks who definitely needed to take that fast repair. 777 of Michael Pegg had to take that fast repair. Huge damage. 429 of Paul Witt did as well. Paul currently scored 2 laps down. Looks like he had to take a tow. As you go back here to the front, pace car dips off. So Mr. John Henderson leads them to the start-finish line. Green flag is back out here at Las Vegas. First caution on lap 6, coming to lap 7. Now, if these cars are anything like the trucks were, anyone who pitted under that caution should be able to make it to the halfway mark without having to stop for fuel. Should put them well inside the window of making this a one-stop race. But you've got John Henderson, Terry Duguay, Chris Hogue, those guys, 10 laps currently not on these tires. Terry's able to get out ahead with the lead. He's got one heck of a push there from that 56. As 111 tries to fight back on the bottom, just not quite able. 10 laps on these tires at this track, believe it or not, is a long time as the 56 just marches his way to the front, takes it convincingly. Oh, 58 looked like he got tipped, coming back up the track, keeps it saved. Caution is out. There is damage on the right front of that car. We'll go back and we'll take a look. There's some hefty damage to what looks to be the right front of the 58. Not certain what happened here. They're going here through turns 1 and 2. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Left front. Heavy hit to that inside wall. So what I'm seeing as damage is him trying to steer that car, and it's just not going in the direction he needs it to. Just a little closer perspective. Just unfortunate for the 58. That car just, I mean, we mentioned fresh tires. I believe he has fresh tires. These cars are incredibly unstable on fresh tires. Very loose, especially the further back you are in the field. Like, the worse it will get. So the 56, David Berry here is your leader. Terry Duguay in the 21. He will be your second place driver. We'll see if he decides to come to pit road this time. I mean, they were getting eaten up by these fresh tires. We got a few people opt to come down pit road just to get some service. I see the 19 of Ben Gear. He had opted to stay out under that first caution, so he's coming down getting some service. Looks like Terry Duguay in the 111 of John Henderson. Both these guys opting to stay out 13 laps on these tires. Now, good thing for them, they shouldn't need, like, this will get them to that halfway mark, I believe. So we will keep an eye on them, see how this strategy works. But the 56 of David Berry, he's going to be your leader. That'll go ahead and put the 21 of Terry Duguay in second. That'll put the 25 of Mark Berry in third. 43 of Sandy Curtis is going to be fourth, and to round out your top 5, the 111 of John Henderson. I believe we still have a couple laps here, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to see someone down in the TeamSpeak call wants to talk to us. Hey, Gary Sr., it's William in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
So, been a little bit of an eventful evening this evening. I mean, you're back there running in 12th. You got to see pretty much all of the excitement. How's your race been so far?
Well, I've been lucky. I haven't hit nobody, and nobody's hit me, so I feel pretty lucky.
And we were watching that first caution. I mentioned it'd be easier to tell you who wasn't in it than who was. And to be honest, I mean, I was like, I'm trying to figure out who was and was not flipping down the front stretch. And I mean, that was some pretty heads up driving from you to get through that.
Yeah, I usually go low, but it looked like this track, everything flows to the bottom, so I went high and got around it.
And it seems to have really worked out for you. I mean, you're here running the 12th position. You got a bunch of the guys caught up in that behind you. I mean, you got 429 of Paul Witt. I mean, he's still there in the back. Looks like only Michael Pegg was only just able to pass you. So, I mean, excellent driving. What do you think is going to be the strategy to winning you this race?
Well, I'm just going to stay back here about where I am, and if somebody's faster, I'll let them go, and I'll catch them at the end.
Well, we know that you run your race, you run it your way, and you're probably one of the better drivers at saving tires. So I hope we get to talk to you at the end of this thing.
Okay, well, I'll be here if I am.
All righty. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us, Gary.
All right, thank you.
That was the 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr., one of our more tenured drivers. I think one of the more colorful characters we have running with us. So just go ahead and quick overview. The 56 of David Berry is going to be restarting here in first. The 21 of Terry Duguay, he is going to be in second. In third is the 25 of Mark Berry. In fourth, we got the 43 of Sandy Curtis. And to round out your top five, we got the 111 of John Henderson. Up here inside our top five, we have two guys with tires twice as old as the folks around them, and that's the 21 and the triple one, the 111. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. So we come back here into the restart zone. David Berry leads them in. Green flag is out here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. About dead even start from the 56 and the 21. Well, you don't really expect that from a guy on older tires. That 56 is going to easily take the lead, though. I mean, we know that bottom is the faster way around this track, and the 25 is going to follow the 56 right through there, first and second. They're going to keep it a lane down off the bottom. Just go ahead and guard that a little bit. 56 running up just that little bit higher. That's kind of what we were talking about, that middle lane where David is. That's where I think the least amount of tire wear is to be found. Have another little connection issue cut there for the 56. So long as he's out front and no one's trying to pass him, I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. As he continues to set sail here, built a tenth of a second. We are 3 wide in places further behind them, around the 44 of Jacob Edson. He was 3 wide with the 429, the 24, 777, all those guys get it pretty single filed out. This 57 tries to give him a little side drive, try and pull him back. As far back as they are in this field, though, that is going to be a tall order with all the draft these guys are going to have the benefit of. They are still 2 wide from behind John Held. John currently running, I say from behind John Held. John Held here in 7th, but we got the 111 ahead of him, trying to hold on to position up high, trying to beat Sandy Curtis. 56 falls back to 3rd place. That 21 is hanging on a lot better than maybe we thought these tires might. He's hanging right there with the 25 of Mark Berry. That here down the backstretch, looks like David got in the wall a little bit there. It's Mark taking it downstairs, trying to see if he can get around that 25. Don't know if he's going to have the drive off the corner to be able to do it. If he can get a good push from this 43, might be able to stay door to door. He's able to keep it right there on that left rear quarter panel as they head here into turn 1. That's a shallow entry from that 21. Unfortunately, that's going to slow him up. You see that force the 43 to make evasive action at the top to prevent him getting into him. It's a very shallow entry. I don't know if that's going to work out for him. So we head here to turn 3. See that 9 of John Held doing what he can, try and pinch that 33 down, try and kill the momentum coming off that bottom lane. Like we already mentioned, the draft here will do a lot to mitigate moves like that, unless you're a little bit further ahead in the field. John trying to get down as far as he can, try and, I guess, save some tire on that line. Remember, John was our winner on Thursday. He knows what it takes to get it done here at Las Vegas. So we have to take a second look, take a little bit look further back. some of the folks who were involved in that first caution. 57, Jeff Gilmore, 777 of Michael Pegg. Both these guys are at a nose to tail there on the top. They are making moves back to the front. Michael Pegg had to go almost all the way to the back after that first caution. Here he is fighting in that 10th position. He's having to fight pretty hard to keep a hold of. Got the 50. Todd Willis in front of him in 9th. Gary Ragland in 8th. He's also got that 89 of Randolph Richard there below him, trying to see what he can do to crack that top 10. That 57 all over his rear bumper. The 024 of Everett Lane looking to see what he can make happen. Is a 429 of Paul Witt looking to get one of his laps back the hard way. Taking some of these guys 3 wide, trying to get his nose up there. He's currently racing the 71 of Dirty Don, who is way back. He's racing Dirty Don here for the Lucky Dog position. But if he can go ahead and oh, it's a 50. He's in the wall. 57. What just happened? Caution is out. F50 is broken. We'll see what happens. They head off here. Oh, ow. Just a miscue, I guess, from the 50, from the 23. Just take a closer look. I think the 23 just, was that net code? Because it looks like the 23 just hangs a right. It's right along there with the 23. Let's see what happened. This is where the initial contact happened. I think everything that happened after this was just trying to avoid. That's net code. I mean, you can see his wheel was turned to the left the entire time. That is unfortunate. Caught the 50 of Todd Willis in that. They didn't make contact. It's unfortunate there for the 50, but we go ahead, we go to check the 57 here. There was more contact here. That's just unfortunate. So the 777 of Michael Pegg, he gets into the, he gets hard into the brakes because he sees what goes, he sees what's going on ahead of him. Pull this out a little bit. So the 57 going through here. 777 of Michael Pegg sees what happens. He checks the 57 up. 429 not able to get checked up in time, and that just stacks a whole bunch of people in. 59, Ralph Blair comes right across the nose of the 44 of Jacob Edson. Jacob not going to be too happy using 2 faster pairs before lap 50 in this race. Looks like he was able to come down, get that second faster pair done. Now, what is most unfortunate, we mentioned Paul Witt. He was racing the 71 for the Lucky Dog. He didn't get it. He was involved in that caution set. So the 71 is the one who is afforded the Lucky Dog. Paul Witt being forced to stay out to get the wave around. That'll put him, take him from 2 laps down to 1 lap down. So he just needs 1 more caution. He should be able to get back on the lead lap. Unfortunately, these cautions kind of take a little bit of a toll on our drivers. The 50 of Todd Willis, looks like he had to take a tow. So that'll go ahead, that'll put him a couple laps down. That contact appears to have done it in for the 23 of Mr. Ray Zerkut, and then Chris Hogue appeared to have an issue early on with it when his car broke. So they have brought it down pit road and parked it. So we are two drivers are out of this race, 24 still in as things stand. 20 of them are on the lead lap. This entire thing, it shakes up the entire run again. So the only person who stayed out besides Paul Witt this time was the 4 of Larry Eddy, moving up from 11th to 1st. He has 14 laps on these tires. They're still kind of fresh, and we were seeing how well these tires were hanging in, but now there's a lot bigger gap this time in the tires than there was last time. 14 laps to brand new. See how that shakes out. So the 4 of Larry Eddy, he is going to be your leader. The 777 of Michael Pegg finds himself back in the outside lane, back at the front. So gonna guess he didn't take too much damage on that. He came down pit road. Looks like he just took fuel, as did, I do believe, the 024 of Everett Lane there behind him. So those guys kind of on this exact same tire strategy here as Larry. The 4th place car is going to be the 43 of Sandy Curtis. If I can hit the right one. Sandy Curtis here. He came down pit road, 4 tires and fuel, as did the 56 of David Berry. That'll round out your top 5. So inside the top 5, only 3 people are on old tires. And we're seeing these old tires really hanging in, but we were also watched this man right here, David Berry. He worked his way very rapidly back up to the lead. I expect to see something very similar from him or the 43 on this restart, both of them being the first 2 cars on fresh tires. From 4th on back to 19th, that's your folks with fresh tires. Jason Adams, he came down, took maybe 2 tires and fuel. And then behind him, we have our 3 lap down cars, Michael Day, Dirty Don, and Paul Witt. So we go back to the front here. Pace car should be peeling off momentarily. As the 4 of Larry Eddy leads them back here into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back out. Got a dead start there for our top 2 side by side going here into turn 1. The 4 got a fantastic push from the 777 of Paul Witt. 43 of Sandy Curtis looked like he had a little bit of a connection glitch there. That caused the 56 to really lay back on that start, not wanting to run him over. I mean, we saw the 56 was having that problem himself as we go through turns 3 and 4. The 024 of Everett Lane, he's out front. These fresh tires all having to check up for these slower guys in front of him. Michael Pegg was not able to get the run that he wanted. 43 of Sandy Curtis pushing Everett Lane out there. Michael Pegg doing what he can to get past Larry Eddy. He's going to have to get a good run. Probably best thing for him to go to the top lane. Can't do it. 111 of John Henderson's there. 56. David Berry works his way around Larry Eddy side by side again with the 43 of Sandy Curtis. We watched him do this before. He's not quite there. Sandy giving Everett a good push. Everett will be able to choose his lane going here through turns 1 and 2. With that 56, he got to the bottom. He is going to be side by side with Everett Lane coming off this corner. Unfortunately, he's not going to have that push. But he'll be right there on that quarter panel going here into turn 3. This might be what he needs. Sandy Curtis gets separated from Everett Lane there as David Berry comes back up the track. He's right there. The longer they race side by side like this, the worse it's going to be for their tires. David needs to make this pass. He needs to make it quick. Unfortunately, Everett's got that top lane momentum. He's got that push from the 43. There are 3 wide in places behind them. That looks like the 33 of Gary Ragland. Want to go ahead and take a look at that. But at the same time, these top 5 racing tooth and nails. The 4, almost slides up into the 43. Those are those older tires in dirty air. It's a 25 of Mark Berry. Gets himself into the top 5. 777 of Michael Pegg just kind of stuck where he's at. You know, he wants to get up there. He wants to race these guys, but he's just, well, I bet you that's going to be a caution. 33, Gary Ragland. Who was that? It was the 129 I saw shoot down the track. Everyone keeps it going straight. Who was that who hit him? Was it the 33? Not certain. At 21, running very loose. These guys gather it all back up. So go ahead and we go back to the lead. Everett Lane there holding on very, very effectively, go through turn 3 and 4 here. He's been able to hang it around there on the top pretty effectively. 43, Sandy Curtis got to get out of it to stop from hitting him. But it's taken them a fair few number of laps to get around Everett. Everett, you know, we mentioned he only came down pit road on that last stop to take fuel. So he's got enough gas to get to where he needs to pit and make it on one stop. He is currently hemorrhaging positions. More than likely, he came down, took that fuel, maybe 2 tires, just to go ahead and get that track position. He's got it. I expect he's not going to be staying out too long. He doesn't think the tires are really going to wear enough. Where coming in and taking 4 would have been worth it on that stop as he falls back to the 6th position, though. He's fighting back hard on the outside, side by side with Michael Pegg there. And everyone ahead of them, David Berry, Mark Berry, Sandy Curtis, John Held, those 4 all on fresh tires. We know how John Held likes to save his stuff. I think that's probably really helping Everett here, keeping right there in that 5th position. Michael Pegg, every time he's gone to fight for something, he seems to get caught up in some mess. So it's looking more like he's just taking his time running his race, expecting that those guys in front of him are going to fall off well before he starts looking at pit road. As of right now, he's in a pretty decent spot. He's made to the inside of Everett Lane, so if he's able to make this pass, he gets a nice push from the 89 of Randolph Richard. Clears Everett going down the front stretch there. Up here in that 5th position, he's in a pretty good spot. All 4 of these guys in front of him, they're racing side by side. 56 running side by side with the 43, the 9 running side by side with the 25. Very interesting watching these guys. John Held in that number 9 Tide Ride, Sandy Curtis in that 43 Cheerios machine. Both these guys work together whenever they can find each other on track. And so these guys, they're not particularly racing each other. They're racing the folks to their outside. And unfortunately, because they're not able to slide up, they're not quite able to clear these guys. That can be kind of a problem in this car at this track. Sometimes you need that help, especially if you're just as good as the guy beside you. You just need someone to get right up to that rear bumper and shove you through. Like I said, that can be exceptionally hard here, especially if you're trying to save tires, because running side by side like this, it just eats up at the ability of your car lap over lap. And after a while, that car on the bottom is going to start getting really tight. You see Sandy Curtis washing up the track a little bit. That car on the bottom is going to get really tight. And it'll reach a point where essentially what they're doing is they're just plowing so hard that the bottom lane just falls off. And it can make it really dangerous for that top lane. But at the same time, the top lane's where all the speed is. Now, if you can get out into clean air like the 56 was finally able to do, start running that bottom again, just kind of doing what you can to save those tires. As long as you don't have someone to your outside, you can slide right up to that wall. Really saves that right front. And that's what these guys need to be concerned about the most. We take a look back a little bit. Looks like the 57 of Jeff Gilmore, he was able to get past the 777 Michael Pegg. I'd be willing to bet, like we mentioned, Michael ain't pushing. He's just trying to mind his P's and Q's right now, because he's had a really rough race so far. He's like, I'm going to let these guys go, maybe tear their stuff up. That 57, I mean, I would contend with the way things are looking and how these the 3 cautions we had fell. I don't know if that long run speed strategy is going to be the way to go, or if you need to go get as much as you can now before that green flag stop. We'll see what the right call is. It's John Held still working on the 25 of Mark Berry. David Berry was able to get by Sandy Curtis, take that lead. He's not been able to run away with it. He's only about a 10th ahead of Sandy. But John Held here, just needs a little help to get past his 25. That 25 able to hang it right there on his right rear going through these corners. That's really hurting the momentum in that 9. So we'll go ahead. We'll take our first ride along of the race. I think we're going to ride along here with the 57 of Jeff Gilmore, and you can see all this from probably the best seat in the house. You could hear how much these guys are really having to work that throttle to be able to make these corners. We've reached the point, where maybe maybe a lot of these guys are really thinking that tire wear, is something they really need to start considering. They need to start adjusting how they're running this race. We saw the 9. As soon as I said, hey, we're just gonna go ahead, we're gonna ride along with the 57. Just get an idea of what this battle between the 9 and the 25 looks like. 9 ducks back in line, is able to pass him like a lap later with a really solid push from the 57. When the 57 tried to follow the 9 through underneath the 25, you saw how tight then Jeff Gilmore got, how hard he had to crank that wheel to the left and play with that throttle, getting into the side of Mark Perry there. And then once John Held got to Sandy Curtis, and just, he kept his foot in it, really trying to keep that momentum going. Just one corner underneath that 43 killed all his momentum, and that dropped him back here to the 4th position where he was. We're definitely seeing this this tight race car really start playing a factor here. I mean, we're seeing Sandy Curtis, he's really adjusting his line. Last time around, he ran the high side through turns 1 and 2, because he can't afford to be in David Berry's dirty air. You see, he's running that higher lane. He's going to get good drive off here. Unfortunately, I mean, that's really opening the door for the 25 there on his bottom side. And that 25, I mean, the more he does that, if these guys are racing side by side, it's going to hurt their long run speed. It's back in the 25 up, back to John Held. John Held keeps trying to make that pass on the bottom. He just doesn't have the ability to slide up the track to really solidify that pass. See, he's starting to run a little bit higher lane. He saw what his teammate 43 is doing. He sees how the 25 is reacting. John trying to arc that 25 up out of the groove, maybe. Unfortunately, Mark Berry's still right there where he needs to be on corner exit, just killing John's momentum. It looks like we have our first takers coming to pit road. The 50 is still in getting repaired. I believe that was the 19 then. With the 19 of Ben Gear, he is our first person come down pit road for 4 tires and fuel. So I'm going to guess Ben Gear here expecting that to be his last stop of the evening. So green flag pit stops have begun. As we see this Hot Wheels ride pull out half a second over second place Sandy Curtis. Sandy, who has been under fire from the 25, lap over lap over lap. As we look a little bit further back, 7 up Michael Pegg running in 6th. He is back here, just kind of relax and bide his time. He's 2.3 seconds back. He's got his good buddy there, Brian Pierce, there behind him in that Lucky Dog Sim Racing Chevy, working with him, giving him a nice push. Pierce here started 15th, currently running 7th. Found out from him that he's not feeling too well. He's a little under the weather, but running pretty good. Regardless, he's the 777. They're coming down pit road. Michael Pegg sent it. Saw him lock him up right there after the commitment cone. Hopefully he didn't get busted speeding. Made up quite a bit of time there on that 6 on pit entry. So these guys definitely not as organized as maybe they need to be. 6 gets a little too close to the wall. That's going to hurt his pit time as the 024 of Everett Lane. He comes down pit road to get his 4 tires and fuel. These guys are going to go a lap down here to the 56. He makes his way just here past pit exits, the 91. And I do believe that is the 52 I spotted. Yep, Gary Whitmer Sr. coming down pit road with him. These guys all getting there, which should be their final stop, done for the evening. And that's going to put the 56 in an interesting position. How long does he want to stay out with all these fresh tires that are going to be behind him? Staying out, you know, another 10, 15 laps could be the best thing to do, could be the worst thing to do. We don't know. Number 9 at John Held, in all of that pit confusion, was able to work his way up into that second position. He's got that 25 right there with him. He's got the 43 of Sandy Curtis. He's trying to help down there on the bottom. Almost a little bit of contact. See, he ducks down low. He's trying to pull Sandy. That 25 got the run he needed to be able to clear Sandy Curtis there on the outside. 7. Jeff Gilmore follows through. Outside seeming to be becoming the dominant lane when it comes to passing. I'll tell you who's right now really kind of in a bad way, hoping for a caution. That 429 of Paul Witts currently scored our first car a lap down. He's got Ben Gear here passing him 4 positions, so it's no longer in that lucky dog position. He's just hoping for a caution, while a bunch of these faster guys are trapped a lap down behind him. To go back to our leader here, David Berry here on lap 60, keeping it out. I mean, if these cars have as much fuel as I think in them, he might be able to run another 10 to 15 laps on this tank of fuel. He's able to make it that far. That really puts some of these guys further back, like Ben Gear and Michael Pegg, like puts them in a very interesting position because they're making up a lot of time here on him. They're making up a lot of time on second place John Held, Mark Berry, Jeff Gilmore, Sandy Curtis. They're making up a lot of time on these guys. However, as their tires begin to age, as they have to work through that dirty air and the off of the rest of the traffic, it might be that the play is to do what David Berry's doing out here, taking advantage of all that clean air, staying out a good long time to try and prolong the run that his car has. And we'll see how it's going to work. The last time Michael Pegg went by the start-finish line, he was a full second faster than your leader. So that's a lot of time that David's given up here on track. But if we have a caution, that'll take a whole bunch of people It'll force them to stay out if they want to get their lap back, while David, John, Mark, Jeff be able to come down pit road for 4 tires and fuel in their vehicles. Let's take a second. Let's go ahead. Barry here, he's going into, coming right here onto the front stretch. Ben Gear in that 19. If I'm looking at this correctly, he's like a straightaway behind, and he is catching. So he'll be on his way to unlap himself relatively soon. I mean, he just caught the 89 of Randolph Richard, the 111 to John Henderson, and the 129 to Kim Kraus. You see he is flying by them. Like they are standing still as he dives here below that 129. Ben Gear looking to unlap himself the hard way. That'll give him a lot of leeway when it comes to how the pits continue to cycle. As we stop, look, the 43, I see him, he's coming down pit road with the 57 of Jeff Gilmore. These guys stayed out 40 laps on this stint. We look at someone like Michael Pegg, he came down 8 laps ago. Everett Lane, 7 laps ago, well, it should be 8 laps. Sergeant Pierce came down 8 laps ago. Ben Gear 13 laps ago. So these guys are going to have fresher tires, and we've seen fresher tires really come into play already in this race. As the 25 of Mark Berry has inherited the lead, looks like the 56, while we were talking about that, has hit pit road. He's drug a few people with him. See who that is he's got with him. I believe that is the 9 of John Held and the 111 of John Henderson. All these guys coming down pit road together. So Mark Berry, your leader, as he comes down, taking his 4 tire stop. That should cycle the lead, if I'm looking at this correctly, to the 129 of Kim Kraus. It does. So Kim Kraus is in first. 89 of Randolph Richard, who is right there with him. In second place, the 24 of Jason Adams, a fair ways behind, about 3.5 seconds behind. He's third. The 21 of Terry Duguay is fourth. And I do believe that 25 is still being scored fifth, but it won't be for long. There he goes, 19 of Ben Gear. As soon as I find him, has assumed that 5th position. Was able to get past the 129. So Ben Gear here, 5th place. He is on the lead lap. 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr. making his way down the Nellis backstretch. He is doing what he can to catch the guys ahead of him. He's probably about a half a straightaway back from our leader. So he's looking for any hole he can get to get past these two, trying to unlap himself. We look back a little bit further. Don't know how he did it, but that was one heck of a run. 56 here. What he's been able to do is he came out ahead of BK Pierce, even though he stayed out much later. And as I'm looking down, trying to figure out where people are, 777 of Michael Pegg is currently showing 2 laps down. He probably got busted speed there coming onto pit road. And that is unfortunate for Michael. Seeing where he's at, he may have come out ahead of the 56. We don't know. But I believe this is your race for the lead. It's going to be the 56 trying to track down the 9. Sorry, the 56. He got past the 52. He's then trying to track down, I should say, the 19 of Ben Gear for that first position. He's got the 52 behind him, the 9 of John Held, doing what he can to try and catch up. That 129 still hanging strong out front, getting some laps led. He's just out there rim riding. He's really getting a lot out of this car running up there on that high side, really flirting with that wall on corner exit. He's got the 89 of Randolph Richard, still has not gone anywhere. Randolph preferring to run that bottom lane. We'll definitely see how this goes. Kim yields to the 56, lets him get his lap back. I believe I saw the 89 opted to come down pit road that time. So some of these guys who are getting past, there's only about 7 laps on their tires at the moment. David Berry here back on the lead lap. He's got, like I mentioned, it is only 7 laps on these tires. So with that, it's not going to be as big of a gap as maybe I'm thinking the 129, the 89, and the 24 were hoping. Let's go ahead and take a look at our leaders, see how much further ahead, like these lead lap cars. Oh, contact between the 57 and the 129. Our leader just chucked up into the wall. Looked like the 57 got tight. 129 trying to get this thing turned. That car looks like it's got some broken suspension as he ducks down. The boom! Caution will come out. 59, Ralph Blair drilling our leader in the rear as he was trying to get a broken car to pit road. We'll take a look at this. I mean, 59 here has fresh tires. He is coming, trying to get his lap back. He's down here on the bottom, sees the 129 and just drills him. So go ahead and we'll go to that 129. I want to see that corner exit. So I'd be willing to bet there is some damage here. As he's going here through turns 1 and 2. He's up towards the middle. 57 washes up the track and boom. I guarantee that you see that right front. That's dragging the ground. So if we take a look at that right front suspension, that is a broken car. He's trying to slow this thing down, get it to turn. The 4 goes by, and he starts trying as hard as he can to get that thing to pit road. He sees the guys coming in his rearview mirror, and there's nothing really that he can do. So he's trying right here. We'll go ahead and we'll back it up. We'll ride along. Just boom. See that thing is broken. Almost looks like maybe his wheel disconnected here a little bit. Not entirely certain because that thing is holding straight. Or if that's just a deal with the broken suspension. Like, it looks like he's able to steer it a little bit. So I'm wondering if that's just an iRacing replay glitch that we're seeing here. You definitely hear him. He was working that throttle, working those brakes, trying to get this thing to pit road, just got plowed. So this is going to work in a few people's favor. It's going to work against a few people. I do believe what this does, I could be wrong, is it puts a few people back on the lead lap. I think a few people are going to keep their lap. Are going to get their lap back. A few are not. Trying to see who's who, what's where. So our leader currently right now is the... There we go. Find, get that proper place there in the running order. So Jason Adams has inherited the lead. He's come down pit road. 4 tires, fuel. Looks like a few... He's got... Oh, no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. So he's going to be 4th. Man, he really came out ahead on all this. Man, I need to pay attention. He came out ahead on all this. Your leader's the 43, I should say, of Sandy Curtis. Sandy Curtis opted to stay out 13 laps on these tires. 57 of Jeff Gilmore likewise decided to stay out. Now the 9 of John Held, he's come down pit road, about an 8-second stop. That looks like 2 tires and fuel to me. Probably right sides to make it to the end. 24 of Jason Adams with a 4-tire stop. And Ben Gear in 5th. He came back down pit road. Take 4 tires and fuel as well. So we go ahead and we take a look a little bit further up. I believe that's the 33 of Gary Ragland here. He's opted to stay out, try and get his lap back. He was trapped a lap down, as was the 024 of Everett Lane, what looks like the 147. Michael Day finally in a position where he can get his lap back. Congratulations to him, the 71 of Dirty Don. He's going to be, if I'm looking at that right, and I don't believe I am, but that's okay. As actually the 147 comes down pit road to put 4 tires and fuel on this car, so he is not going to get the wave around as we are 1 to green. Looks like the 33 got a wave around, as did a few other cars. I believe that is the 024 got a wave around. No, these guys did not. So it is the 024, the 44, Jacob Edson, getting back on the lead lap, and what also looks like the 777 of Michael Pegg will finally find himself back on the lead lap. But all these guys had to stay out, and that's not going to be good really for them. You're looking at 19 to 23 laps on those tires, and he's going to probably get a penalty. The 33, Gary Ragland here, came down pit road, taking 4 tires, fuel, and a fast repair, and I do believe that was a closed pit road for him. So go ahead and we go back to our lead. As I see here in chat, 129 car should not be in this race as he is not listed as a driver for this series. I will bring that to our admin's attention. Thank you for mentioning that. As we get back going green here, Sandy Curtis leads it to the line. Got a good start there. His teammate, the 9, John Held, giving him a good push. They're going through turns 1 and 2. We'll see where they're able to clear that 57. They both cleared Jeff Gilmore before the exit of turn 2. John Held giving Sandy Curtis a fantastic push. John Held, though, got to be wondering, I don't want to be behind you. You've got all the tires. Please let me go. Dives it off to the inside. Clears Sandy before they make it to turn 4. He sees that 19 of Ben Gear. He is coming. He is coming fast. The 43 just getting swallowed up. 57 getting swallowed up. Like 57 getting worked over a little bit from the guys behind him. The 24, the 56, the 21. All these guys coming on fresh tires. So they go down the Nellis Straight. Sandy Curtis still doing what he can to try and work with his teammate despite the age disparity in these tires. The 19 of Ben Gear, though, he finally gets the inside of Sandy Curtis. Caution back out. 52 is slow. So we'll bounce back here a little bit. We'll see what happened. We saw a lot of jostling for position here. Garrett Whitmer Sr. currently being scored in the 17th position. Right now. And I think that's old tires coming into play there, I believe. So we'll go back, we'll take a look. Maybe? Not certain. It starts with the 56 and the 21. So these guys going off here into turn 3. Oh, okay, no. So it was a tires thing, but it was a new tires thing. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So we're going to see this 56. He's going to get loose here on the top. That's going to cause him to check up. Gets the 21 into him. 52 gets into the 21. And it's just on from there. 25 gets into the 52. We'll watch from our friend the Chopper Cam here one more time. So yeah, the 56 is going to get loose. It's going to stack him up. 21's going to check up. 52 not quite gets into him. 25 gets in the back of 52. 21 gets to the wall. Bouncing down into the 52. That makes a lot more sense. we mentioned early on, these cars can be very unhappy on new tires. Now, this says something for patience and tenacity. He was involved in that first wreck. He went 2 laps down. He's been fighting this entire race to get his 2 laps back. Paul Witt, the recipient of your lucky dog this time. So Paul Witt finally back on the lead lap. This will put him tail end of the longest line here. With, I do believe, we'll be going back green more than likely with 16 laps, 16, 17, no, 15, 16 laps to go. I will say as we go ahead and we cut back to the front of the field here with John Held. It's been a very, very surprising race, a lot of close battling. It's not often we have a lucky dog race with as many cautions as we've had, but it has certainly kept not only us, but our drivers on their toes. So go ahead and we'll take a look at your top 5 as they stand right now. Be the number 9 of John Held in first with the 43 of Sandy Curtis, restarting in second with the 19 of Ben Gear. Behind them in third, the 24 of Jason Adams will be fourth, and the 57 of Jeff Gilmore in fifth. We've got some pretty big movers here in our top 5. John Held started 7th, is running first. The 43 of Sandy Curtis, he started back in the 14th position. He's up to 2nd. And the 19 of Ben Gear, he started 12th, is currently running 3rd. So we got some real big movers up here in our top 5. Take a look at some of our other big movers of the evening. The number 6 here of Brian Pierce, he's back here in the 6th position. He started 15th. The number 129 of Kim Kraus started 23rd, made it up to the 9th position. And Joel Guy in the 91 started 25th up to 13th. So a lot of movement here around this track. As they get single filed back with 1 to go. We'll be going green the next time by. So we'll see how this whole thing shakes out. We only had 1 taker on pit road that time. That was the 44 of Jacob Edson. Looked like he was there. Let me click the right one. 44 of Jacob Edson. Looked like he came down just to maybe get some damage repaired or top off. As we head back here to the front, get a good angle there. As we come here through turns 3 and 4. Pace car should be ducking off this time. John Held leads them back to the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Much better start almost, it looks like, from the 9 than the 43, though the 43 getting a good push from the 24 as they dive him off here into turn 1. Sandy Curtis alongside his teammate John Held. These two going to be side by side, looks like, here on corner exits. First time we've seen that all night. 19 of Ben Gear finally gets to the rear bumper of the 9. Gives him a solid push down the Nellis straight as they head here into turn 3. Sandy Curtis not hanging around anymore. He is pedal to the metal as hard as he can there along that outside lane. 24, Jason Adams giving him a solid push as the person restarted first. And here we go, 9:19 down the track, up into the field, collects the 25, the 21, the 147, 59, 91. Bunch of guys caught up in that. Looks like our lucky dog last time by, 429 of Paul Witt, got caught up in it. We're actually going to watch this from his perspective for the first time because he saw it all. Here's our lucky dog going for position here. Gets a little loose, backs out. That might have been for the best. CC guys coming back at the track, slams on the brakes. Looks like he's able to avoid all of that carnage. Some good heads-up driving. So let's go back and let's take a look at this from the point of view of the 9. Looked like maybe he was blocking the 19 going into turn 1 there. We'll get a little bit closer look. We'll see. You get down to going time. So Knight goes for one heck of a ride. We'll go back one more time. Watch from our friend the Chopper. It looks like the 19 gets under the 9 and expects him to maybe slide the track a little bit. The 9 trying to keep the 19 pinned down. Maybe could have given a little bit more room to bend gear there. It's sort of one of those, the 19 had his nose there, but going into turn 1, that's a rapidly closing hole. I mean, both of those guys just racing really, really hard for the same piece of real estate. We'll go ahead and we'll ride along with the 9 here. He goes for one heck of a ride. Lands wheels down, still has RPM in the cars, should be able to get that thing back to get repaired. Looks like he was indeed able to use a fast repair to get that car fixed and get it back out there. It's unfortunate for the 9, one of our faster cars all night long. So we'll go ahead and we'll go through our top 5. The 43 of Sandy Curtis, currently listed as our leader. The 24 of Jason Adams will be restarting second. The 6 of Brian Pierce up to third. The 56 of David Berry finally getting himself back inside the top 5 there. Restarting fourth, and the 111 of John Henderson, who's kind of been hanging around near. Just kind of hanging. I mean, he's been inside the top 5 a couple times this evening. Finds himself back here, restarting 5th. Sandy Curtis on tires 9 laps older than the guys ahead of him. No one, sorry, 1, 2, 3 guys. 3 guys came down pit road that time to take 4 tires that were on the lead lap. So they'll be pretty deep there in the field. We'll see if they'll be able to make anything of them here in these final 10 or so laps of this event. As we get the 1 to go this time by. Unfortunately, some of our faster cars this evening really caught up in that. You know, the 024 of Everett Lane, wrong place, wrong time. 21 of Terry Duguay not having a good night. We know the 9 of John Held is not what he wanted at all. The 147 unfortunately got caught up in that, currently scored 2 laps down. We mentioned, you know, we saw the 25 really take a huge hit in that. I do believe we saw the 59 of Ralph Blair caught up in that caution. Just a lot of wrong place, wrong time. As we head back to our leaders one more time, rerunning through the top 5. 43 Sandy Curtis first, 24 of Jason Adams second, 6 of Brian Pierce third, 56 of David Berry 4th, and the 111 of John Henderson is 5th. That is your top 5s. We head back here. This pace car ducks itself off of track down pit road. 43 leading them back here to the start-finish line. Green flag is back out here at Las Vegas. Got a dead start there. Looked like the 24 maybe got a little bit better start, beat the 43 to the line. They'll be side by side going here into turn 1. And unlike, I mean, it looks like the 43 is going to clear. He does. He clears the 24, but 24 with that momentum on the outside. He's got a good push from the 56. They'll be side by side going here into turn 3. 6 maybe thought about going down below the 43, thought better of it. 43 is Sandy Curtis. He gets out with the lead this time, but how long is that going to last? All these guys behind him with fresher tires. Got 9 lap fresher tires. Oh, looks like we're going to have another caution. 56, let me get that. There it is. Collecting the 111, the 4, I think that was the 91 I saw caught up in that. 52. Who else? We got the 44. Looks like he was able to get woed up for that one. He was just catching the back end of the field. So he saw all of this. He's like, I've had enough. I want to have a car for the end of this thing. Gets woed up pretty effectively. See the 59 there. Was that the 59 or was it the 57? It was 59. Was able to get. Let's get back. 59. The right car. These guys are going in here. I want to say it was the 59 we saw also get woed up there. Yep. He gets it stopped. That's what I thought. But it looks like his car also has some damage from the previous wreck. So we're going to go back. This is what we need to see. I need to stop messing around. This is what we need to see. So they're going in here. The 56 is expecting the 6 to be further down the track than he is there on corner entry. And the 6 is... Oh, 429 gets a bit of it. Not too much. Yeah, so the 56 just looking like, I mean, he was coming down that track like he thought he was clear. We'll go ahead and we'll watch from the chopper cam here. The 6 is not making an aggressive arc down that track by any stretch of the imagination. Looked like maybe trying to, like maybe he was having more luck running that middle line than running the bottom, so that's what he was going to run. Unfortunately, 56 just did not react in time. Maybe thought he was clear. So that's a bunch of guys who just used their last fast repair. I think I saw before Larry Eddy, he got a big piece of it. The 19 of Ben Geared. And it looks like the nose is on that car. Maybe taking his last set of tires, not certain. The 111, John Henderson, currently scored, I believe, 2 laps down. More than likely had to take a tow. Yep, looking like what he was going to have to do. 25 of Mark Berry got it fixed and got back out, but he's also a couple laps down. This race tonight has not been pretty. It's very, very rare that one of our races comes down to a war of attrition, but that appears to be where we have made it. So let's go ahead. Let's take another trip through your top 5. Sandy Curtis is second. Is he second? Give me a second. I gotta double check this, because I don't know that he is. All right. So yeah, it looks like just the way they caught the pace car is part of it. Sandy Curtis is your leader. 24 of Jason Adams will be restarting second. The 6 of Brian Pierce in fourth. The 777, sorry, my goodness. The 43 of Sandy Curtis will be restarting first. The 24 of Jason Adams here will be restarting second. The 6. It's where I thought he should be. Like the 6 of Brian Pierce going to be restarting third. The 429 of Paul Witt makes his way back up into the top 5. He's be restarting fourth, and restarting fifth will be the 777 of Michael Pegg. So we just got our 5 laps to go. Taking the green next time by, so it'll be a 4-lap shootout for these guys. We've also already seen cautions breeding cautions tonight. It's either a testament to how good this car handles, how terrible this car handles, or how well this track does at keeping people close together. Like I said, it is very rare for a lucky dog race to devolve into this, but it looks like we've been having caution issues all night long. So usually that means drivers are a little overconfident in the handling abilities of their car. And I expect that's probably what's been happening this evening. Well, we've seen old tires prevail a few times here. We'll see if Sandy Curtis can do it again. This pace car ducks off the track down pit road. Sandy Curtis leading them to the start-finish line, hopefully for our final restart. Green flag is back in the air. Oh my goodness, Sandy did not go. Sandy did not go at all. Jason, looks like he spun the tires. Jason Adams gets out ahead. Clears Sandy Curtis by the start-finish line. 429 of Paul Witt was fourth, now second. He's outside of that 43. 43 kind of trying to use him up. So 6 dives down there to the bottom. 3 wide going through turn 3. Oh, that'll be another caution. If I had to bet, 6 goes up into the wall. 429. It'll be a green-white checker tonight, ladies and gentlemen. 24 of Jason Adams out here running away with it. Let's go back. Let's take a look at that, see what happened. That was a 3 wide incident with some old tires. I bet you's what that was. So the 43 kind of trying to push that 429 at the track, trying to defend, leaves that bottom open for the 6. 6 goes in there. 429 squeezes the 43 a little bit. 43 gets loose, comes down into the 6. Like maybe a little bit of an ill-handling car there from the 43 once after that collision. So we'll go back. We're going to go back. We're going to ride along here with Sandy. So we know he's on old tires here. He's tight under the 429. He's trying to push him up the track a little bit. That opens that bottom. You see the 6 coming to that side here. 6 is there. Paul squeezes it down a little bit, gets into the 6. Bounces him up to the 43, sorry, 429. Just trying to hold on to that car. 6 goes hard up into the wall. So go ahead and we'll go to the right along with the 6 here. Because he's seeing all this happen before in front of him. Remember, his tires are like 20 laps fresher than Sandy Curtis. Just about everyone's is. Trying to save as much as he can in this track. 6 sees that hole open, he goes for it. There's the contact. And they're trying to get it gathered. Just gets collected by the 43. Looks like that car with major front end damage. So we'll watch one more time here from our friend the Chopper Cam. Actually, there was a little bit of contact between the 429 and the 43. as we may have kicked that off. 59 caught up in another one. This race has been crazy. Looks like the 6 still on pit road. So we get our 2 to go. But like we mentioned, it'll be a green-white checker this evening. 24, Jason Adams will be your leader. The 24, Jason Adams, he'll be restarting first. 777 of Michael Pegg will be restarting second. The 57 of Jeff Gilmore will be restarting third. That 9 of John Held, remember he was caught up in a caution earlier on. He'll be restarting fourth. The 56 of David Barry will be restarting fifth. Now, I do believe Michael, John, and David. Sorry, Michael, John, David, and Jeff. The 777, the 57, the 9, and the 56 all have about the same age tires. I think the oldest tires up here is going to be the 24 of Jason Adams. I do believe he was down pit road 10 to 12 laps before these guys to take tires. Now, Michael's might be the same age. John's might. Out of all of them, if I had to bet, Jeff Gilmore has the freshest tires up here in the front. Though the freshest tires in the field go to the 429 of Paul Witt. 4 tires of fuel. I mean, he was involved in that caution. He's just not had a good night. He's back here in 13th. 13th with the freshest tires in the field. We'll see how many positions he's able to make up. So we have our 1 to green this time by. Let's take an opportunity to recognize our biggest mover of the night, Joel Guy. Started 25th, currently running here in the 7th position. Joel here came down pit road 8 laps ago for a 5.5 second stop, so that's just topping up. So we don't know what kind of tires he has under him right now. They could be better than everybody else's. They could be baked potatoes. We don't know. Keep an eye there on that 91 Marine Corps ride. Again, Jason Adams leading them to the start-finish line. This will be our 1 green-white checkered attempt. Pace car ducks off onto pit road. Jason leading them into that Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. Jason and Michael got about a negative start. John Held, though, giving a good push to that 777. He'll be side by side with the 24 going into turn 1. Not going to quite clear him. Actually, he does clear him there around the caution. That's it. That's all she wrote. 024, the 44. What happened here? Kim Kraus shooting it 3 wide. Took out Jacob Edson, Everett Lane, and like the 429 of Paul Witt, who was there in the back. He got a piece of it as well. Kim had one heck of a run. Just stuck his nose into a hole that was closing and collected the 21. For one heck of a wild ride. So that'll give. So these guys will finish under caution. The 777 of Michael Pegg. Your pole sitter will be your winner, the 9 of John Held. Looks like he was able to get past the 24 before that caution came out for second. The 24 of Jason Adams. Round out your top 3. Jeff Gilmore in the 57. Brings it home 4th, and the 43 of Sandy Curtis will come home in 5th. And that's the order they will come over the start-finish line. You almost hate to put it this way, but I think the pace car may have led more laps than anyone else this evening. Just every now and then you just get one of those races. So congratulations to our top 5. Go ahead and gather some folks up for post-race interviews here shortly. Alrighty, we have our top 3 here for gathered for interviews. I mean, each and every one of these guys had one heck of an up and down race. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with our 3rd place finisher here, the 24 of Jason Adams. Jason, this is William in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. How you doing tonight?
Man, I tell you what, you guys had me, wondering what was going to happen next every single lap. I mean, I want to say we had something like 7, 8 cautions this evening. Quite an, I might be highballing it there, but watching you guys go through this, I think I'm gonna need to lay down after this. My blood pressure's up.
Your blood pressure? Mine's up too. I was kind of wondering the same thing, what was going to happen each and every lap. Got lucky there. I stayed out on them old tires and got involved in that wreck early on, and I needed to save a set of tires for the end. Well, I did have a set of tires still left in the bank to use, but there at the end, it kind of worked out for me with that late race caution. Me and Terry was able to start back 4th, and stay in the top 5 until the end. But I'd like to congratulate Peg on his win. That was a good win. I knew he had pressure tires in me, and there was no holding me back, and John coming in 2nd there.
And it was interesting. I think I don't know how many people finished this race with 0 incident points. I mean, I know that you got a pretty good look at a bunch of those cautions this evening. How were you able to, really play all that to your advantage to get, up into that top 3 to really be contending for that win?
Well, honestly, it was the luck of the draw, really. A couple of them I was involved in. Got a little damage there at the that one, had to take a fast repair. Glad I did have that. But the other one, I avoided it right in front of me with having the older tires. When Kim got in the outside wall, come down, I was able to avoid that. So that actually helped out a lot there. But all in all, great race. Top 3, can't beat that, especially with what we went through tonight. A lot of tough guys out there to beat. It was just a good night for the 24 car.
Well, congratulations there on your 3rd place finish, Jason. I mean, I do say in jest that my blood pressure is up, but I know that all of you guys who had to run that, I mean, if I'd been running that, my racing seat would probably be soaking wet. So congratulations. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my wife for allowing me to sit down each and every night and spend time with my friends out here, race each and every night. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be where we're at today. So, yeah, let's move on to next week. I'll be going to Martinsville Speedway this coming Sunday. Kind of excited about that, see that live. So, see you guys next week.
Well, that's my home track. I hope they put on a good show for you and take plenty of pictures.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, Will.
All right, see you. And that brings us to our 2nd place finish here, the number 9 of Mr. John Held. John, this way in the booth. You got me?
Hey, gotcha, William.
Wild night. I mean, you went from
Yep.
the front to the back, front, back, managed to come home with a second place finish. I mean, Jason and I were talking about how insane this race was from start to finish. And I mean, you got caught up there in a late race caution and were able to come back for a second place finish. Talk us through that. I don't know too many people who can pull that off.
Yeah, like when I listened to Jason there, we got kind of lucky on a couple of the stops. Yeah, like up to, I think, lap 60 or 65 it was. Went in for our last pit stop. I thought I was going to be racing Barry there, and we're kind of just cruising, really, and then the cautions happened, and I got careened on that one. I think Ben had a really good run on me. I don't know if I come down a little bit. If he came up, we got together, got wrecked. Then we got lucky. A couple of cautions up there, and they kind of just spread their ways for me. I drove through the middle of them and found myself up in the top 5 or right in that area. And yeah, it all just kind of fell in place for me at the end there. And I gave Michael a little bump at the start there to get him out in front of Jason. I was just going to follow him through and hopefully race him for the win. But yeah, another caution came out.
Yeah, no, it definitely seemed like once we got down probably in the last 30 laps, I mean, everyone realized it was go time and it was no longer time to save. And I think that's really where a lot of the cautions came from, is just the fact that urgency had been there, and being able to, work your way through all of that. Like I told Jason, my seat would have been soaking wet.
Yeah, it was. It gets a little stressful out there because everybody's got pretty fresh tires on. Even 10-lap old tires were still fast, and nobody was lifting. There was no give and take on that one. It was all kind of just take. So, yeah, it was exciting. Hopefully, it did for everybody out there, yourself, and everybody watching.
It was definitely an exciting race from up here in the booth. I mean, normally, there are times I think we did one, like 2-lap ride along where I just let people enjoy like the sounds of the car as the driver is going. But tonight, I think we got one of them. Usually there's 2 or 3. It was always something to talk about.
Yeah, it was exciting there. Yeah, just like I said, it just fell right. I don't know, near the end there, I don't know if you could tell, I had a cone stuck in my car for like that one restart, and it acted like a parachute. I couldn't believe it. So I had to go in the pit, go to the back again, and come back up again. But it just worked out. Cautions fell in the right place.
So I did want to ask you one question, because we did get at least one like really decent long run, like long enough that we had green flag stops. How did the car feel over the course? I mean, we saw a lot of short runs, but what was the long run speed of this car like?
It was good. I mean, realistically, you could go flat out for probably 20 laps. I mean, it would hurt you on the later end of it. So I mean, the way I race, I lifted for the first bit of every run, so I'd have something near the end. So I think I even fell back from where I started, quite far back, but it was good. It was loose at the start, pretty equal as you get to the middle of the run, and started pushing a little bit near the end where you had to lift a little bit. But for the whole run, it was actually pretty good.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, sometimes we have cars that just plowing tight at the beginning and they just get tighter. Some cars are loose and they just get looser. So it's nice to see this thing actually had what sounds like a steady progression from one to the other.
Yeah, it did for me. Like I said, I lift a little bit at the start. Just me, the way I drive, I just try to take care of that right front, and yeah, I mean, you lift a little bit going to 3 there. You could just hammer on the gas all the way through 4, even on a later run. So yeah, I wish it went green all the way. I was curious to see how it all played out, but it didn't.
Well, congratulations on your runner-up finish. I mean, like I said, up and down night, be able to come home in the top 3. It's pretty hard to beat that. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, well, thank yourself, William, Lucky Dog Racing, Michael, and Brian for everything you guys do, and the family. And yeah, hope everybody has a good night. We'll see everybody next race.
Yep. We'll see you next time. Again, congratulations on your finish, and hopefully we get to talk to you next time.
Thanks, William.
All right, thank you. And so I think this brings us to the success story of the night. Our pole sitter, Mr. Michael Pegg, race winner. Swim in the booth, you got me?
Yes, sir.
Weren't you 2 laps down?
Yeah, after me and
pretty
Paul
early
got
on?
into it. Yeah, me and Paul got into it. I had to go all the way to the back, so I was like 20th there, worked my way up, and then got caught speeding, went 2 laps down, and then had to work my way back up again.
So probably the person then that benefited the most from the number of cautions we had, because I mean you were over a lap down for quite a while before you were able to get back on the lead lap. Once you got back on the lead lap, though, it really seemed like everything sort of just kind of fell your way.
I was able to avoid all the wrecks. Yeah, the only one I was in was with Paul. The rest of them I was able to avoid. Yeah, so they just kept pulling off one by one.
And it's not often that we have a race that ends via attrition. And I know these aren't the kind of races that, I mean, a win is a win, but I know you prefer those long green flag runs. For you, someone who does a lot of long green flag runs, and I know you pride yourself in your racecraft, I mean, how difficult is it to be like restarting every 4 or 5 laps?
It was brutal tonight, start from the back and then going through the pack. It was brutal because everybody's wide open, nobody's lifting. They're pushing up into the other lane. It was tough. And then the restarts, every 5 laps, you're, some of them you're worried about what they're going to do. What's going to happen. Are you going to be involved?
Yeah, and I know that for me, I mean, I mention quite frequently that pit road is my greatest enemy, but that's just because I don't want people to know how bad I am at restarts. And no, like when it comes to restarts, I mean, I think that's always when my blood pressure is the highest. So being able to work your way through that, I mean, that takes something.
Yeah, that's the most work I've done in a long time. I don't remember being that far back down, having to come through the field 3 times basically tonight. The first time and then the 2 laps down. Yeah, it was tough. I was really stressed out. I was like, man, we got a long way to go, especially that last one. Me and Paul came out finally the lead lap. I think we're like 15th or 16th with 12 to go.
Well, and then you got that really good push from John there, right there at the end. With the way these cars were running, I mean, we all would have loved to see this thing finish under green. How difficult do you think would have been to hold John off there if we'd stayed green?
I don't know. My tires were literally brand new. I only had a couple laps on them, so it would have been good. I would have been wide. It would have been a good race though. And the draft is really strong. The draft is so strong.
You're definitely one of the harder people in here to pass, and it's just because you know how to the lines to a lot of these tracks. You know that how to make your car wide without making it impossible. But no, I think it'd have been a fantastic race between the two of you.
Yeah, John's tough. John's really tough. I'm glad we didn't have to battle it out. I'd had enough.
I hear that.
I said, we'll do this another night. I was just glad to see that checkered flag, man. That was tough. It was tough.
Well, I know that with the length of this race and the interviews here at the end, you're probably late for dinner. So
yeah.
We probably need to be letting you get going then. Is there anyone you want to thank before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I want to thank John tonight for giving me that bump at the end. All the guys coming out racing. We were a little too much overdriving tonight, but that happens sometimes. I want to thank God himself. I want to thank Lucky Dog Broadcasting. Thank you, William, for doing everything you do. Thank the regulators. Thank all the Lucky Dog members, all the Lucky Dog people watching. I want to thank Cash, Tracy, Molly, and Winston.
Well, again, congratulations on your win there, Michael. And we'll see you. We'll see you next time. Hopefully, we get to talk to you in Victory Lane again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, sir.
And that should just about wrap us up for this evening. We got our Wednesday night series that we have going on, obviously, tomorrow night. Let me go ahead and double check that. I do believe I don't see what the scheduled session is, so I'm not entirely certain what we're doing tomorrow night, but it should be a good one. It'll be the exact same time here. Race will, qualifying around 8 p.m. The race starting around 8:05. You should hear from me again on Thursday for our 1.5 mile truck series. Looking forward to that one. We have our late model stocks on Friday and our Xfinities obviously on Saturday, all at qualifying at 8, race start around 8:05. So we hope to see you at each of those. If you like what you saw, go ahead and drop us a like. If you didn't like what you saw, go ahead and drop us a dislike. We like knowing what you think. Either way, if you want to comment, if you really like it, go ahead and subscribe. And if you think someone who might enjoy what we do, just go ahead and let them know about us. And finally, if you if you want to run with us, I do believe all of our leagues are recruiting. We're always on the lookout for some drivers who want to come out and make laps with us. Just go ahead and look us up on iRacing, Lucky Dog Sim Racing. We've got a little bit of something for everybody. But I think that should do us for this evening. Hopefully y'all had a good night. I know I did. And we'll catch you next time.